Our world is beautiful and holds many mysteries. Almost everything created by nature is magnificent. But today, we will talk not only about beauty, but also about rare and truly unique places and phenomena that will surely astonish your eyes. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and at the end of the video, rate it with a like or dislike. Enjoy watching. Let's go! Let's start with one of the most, believe me, beautiful caves in the world, the Waitomo Glowworm Cave. According to some estimates, these caves have existed for over 30 million years. There used to be an ocean here, but when the water receded, about 150 caves were formed, with walls containing fish skeletons, shell remnants, and corals. But the most amazing part is the Glowworm Cave. Tourists from all over the world come here to see it. When visiting the cave, it's important to remember that insects are afraid of noise. So you need to be very quiet, or else the insects will get scared and their glow will fade, not revealing their full beauty. It's like seeing a starry sky in a dark cave. There's also an incredible aroma in the cave that fully immerses you in the world of enchanting beauty created by nature. On our planet, there are countless stunning bodies of water, but the truly enchanting one is the South American river Cano Cristales, the most mysterious, vibrant, extraordinary, and picturesque river in Colombia. When you see it, it seems as if a colorful mossy carpet is spread underwater. It has been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site as a testament to its natural beauty. Locals affectionately call it the FiveColored River, or the river that ran away from paradise, and simply the most beautiful river in the world. I think you would agree with me on that. The reason is that it indeed changes its colors several times throughout the year. Red, yellow, green, blue, all due to the activities of river algae. Lake Klyloc, a saline lake that doesn't have any streams or rivers flowing out of it. These basins look like spots and vary in color, depending on the minerals they contain. Magnesium sulfate gives the lake its various colors. According to the Okanagan First Nations people, there are exactly 365 spots on the lake. The lake is still considered a sacred place and is believed to have healing properties. Today, Yellowstone is not only a national park, but also a UNESCO World Heritage Site covering almost 10,000 square kilometers. Aside from its mystical landscapes, this place is a literal powder keg of the planet. It owes its phenomenon to the excess of molten magma beneath the Earth's crust. 642,000 years ago, when the molten rock overflowed, a catastrophic volcanic eruption occurred. Lava, ash, and rock fragments were ejected into the sky with such force that even today, you can find layers of volcanic rock in western and central states. Moreover, it's home to 3,000 geysers and about 10,000 geothermal features, such as mud volcanoes, sulfur springs, and more. But what I'd particularly like to highlight is the Grand Prismatic Spring, which shimmers in all the colors of the rainbow. Next up, we have one of the eerie mysteries of the planet, the Danakil Desert. It's a vast playground for extreme enthusiasts and daring adventurers. Here you'll find volcanoes, toxic gas clouds, sulfuric waters, and much more. The local attractions might remind you of a distant planet from science fiction books. The primary highlight of the desert is the Erta Ale Volcano's lava lake. It's not just a lake, it's a lava bath. It's also called the Gateway to Hell. It looks exactly as terrifying as it sounds. The bright red lake cracks, breaks, and boils, devouring pieces of land. It's a terrifying sight. The Danakil Desert in Ethiopia is hazardous to health. The air is heavy with toxic gases, and there's acid, lava, and salt everywhere. However, 2 tribes inhabit this place. Due to disputes over ownership of the desert, armed conflicts are a common occurrence here. The word crystal translates from Greek as transparent ice. And yes, ice itself is a crystal, as well as snowflakes and many precious and semi-precious stones. Crystals have long captivated people with their beauty, the sparkle of their facets, and their perfect forms. But nature went further and managed to astonish humanity with another creation, an entire underground cavern of crystals, not just ordinary ones, but giant ones. This cave was discovered entirely by chance. Water was pumped out, the passage was widened, and when miners descended there, the scene amazed with its beauty. The beam of a flashlight illuminated the underground chamber and was reflected multiple times in different directions, as if the place was studded with shards of shattered mirrors. These were giant crystals. Like colossal rays, they cut through space lengthwise and crosswise, creating a truly fantastic sight. It's all about their arrangement and the chemical composition of the surrounding rocks. It's located at a depth of 300 meters, and even deeper lies an underground magmatic source. However, one cannot stay in the crystal cave for more than 10 minutes without special equipment. The temperature there is very high, reaching up to 58 degrees Celsius at 95% humidity. Antelope Canyon, USA. Exploring the most photographed place in the world will be interesting for both professional photographers and enthusiasts of extraordinary natural phenomena. Tickets to this place cost $5,100. The walls of this small canyon are made of Navajo sandstone, which looks very beautiful underground in the semi-darkness of a sunny day. This body of water is located on the picturesque Faroe Islands, and its unofficial name among tourists is Lake Above the Ocean. This is because the water body is slightly higher than the ocean level, and its water flows into the Atlantic through the cliffs from a height of 30 meters. The optical illusion created during this process is simply breathtaking. Next, we have another unsolved mystery. In the flocks of migratory butterflies, there is not only their beauty, but also a puzzle. Nobody knows why they embark on a perilous journey every year, covering almost 5,000 kilometers. We are talking about the Monarch Butterfly. During their migration, 3-4 generations of insects can change. They follow the same route and even make stops on the same trees. Scientists still cannot provide a definitive answer to why these butterflies don't hibernate in secluded places like other insects. Despite their relatively high survival rate and endurance, the population of monarch butterflies is gradually decreasing. Honestly, it's quite disheartening. On the border of Argentina and Chile, not far from the Chilean town of Chile Chico, lies one of the deepest lakes in the world, Lago General Carrera. It became renowned worldwide for its unique marble cathedral, which represents a labyrinth of stunning marble caves. These caves attract a huge number of tourists who wish to witness this picturesque marvel of nature with their own eyes. There, they can peer through one of the natural windows, revealing hidden corners of the marble caves that are virtually inaccessible to humans, let alone boats. On the territory of Iceland, there exists a natural wonder known as the ice caves that gleam in various colors. Truly, these caves are a wonder. No other term can describe them. For instance, in the cave of Skaftafell National Park, the entire spectrum of light is absorbed, except for blue, creating the illusion that the cave walls are composed of blue sapphire. This is a highly unstable system that can collapse at any moment. However, witnessing this phenomenon in person will leave a lasting impression on you for a lifetime. During the peak of the season, hundreds of buses with tourists from practically all the resorts of the country arrive here daily. Pamukkale translates from Turkish as Cotton Castle. Surely each of you has seen these videos or photos. This is Pamukkale, and it's not just a beautiful place, but also a geothermal resort. The water temperature here is around 36 degrees Celsius, and people came here for relaxation 2,000 years before the birth of Christ. That's why there are many ancient monuments in the vicinity. The Argan Tree grows only in Morocco, and locals gather its fruits by hand. Valuable cosmetic oil is extracted from its seeds, which then gets sent to expensive perfume factories. But here's the thing. Moroccan goats have taken a liking to this tree. Actually, not just this tree, but in general, goats in Morocco spend a significant part of their lives in trees. They sit en masse as if someone herded them up there. Maybe they're afraid of something? Nope, they're eating up there, and they eat anything that's green. The thing is, in Morocco there are no pastures and vegetation is quite scarce. So the little goats have to graze in trees, and this doesn't pose much of a challenge for them. Besides their unearthly charm, they have a natural ability to maintain balance. Do you like clouds? Something tells me that they are hard not to like. Well, it turns out that there's an unusual natural phenomenon called Kelvin Helmholtz clouds. They're also known as billow clouds. The most amazing thing is that this marvel in the sky appears very easily, albeit quite rarely. Clouds like these form when the layer below is denser or has a lower speed than the layer above. Agree, these small whirls look like they've come straight out of Van Gogh's paintings. The spectacle is truly extraordinary. We all know about tsunamis, right? Those are waves that arise from shifts deep underwater, or in other words, from deep-seated earthquakes. I recently read that there's something even more impressive in the world, the so-called mega tsunamis. And no, it's not just the same as a regular tsunami with a prefix. The height of these waves reaches 100 meters or more. The worst part is, such cases have already been recorded throughout history, both relatively recently and tens of thousands of years ago. However, I hope we will never witness anything like that. Now let's talk about an incredibly beautiful and unusual park, which has an equally unique name, Zhangjiajie. There you can not only ride the world's tallest outdoor elevator, but also admire stunning quartz columns that inspired the director of the movie Avatar. Plus, there's an artificial reservoir, also known as Baofeng Lake, where tour guides like to tell tales and legends about fairies who cried an entire lake's worth of tears. There's also a mountaintop farm, various activities like dancing on the unusual terrain, and much more. In short, any tourist will easily find something to do. Who doesn't love rainbows? Show me that person. Right, such people simply don't exist. That's why I want to tell you about the so-called fog bow, or as it's called differently, a white rainbow. This extremely rare and beautiful phenomenon appears after rain in the fog. It's a vague rainbow with barely noticeable colors. Believe me, seeing it in person looks absolutely fantastic. One thing that can definitely surprise you is stones. Yes, don't be surprised. Ordinary stones. The thing is, in Pennsylvania, there's a whole valley where every little stone, when struck, produces a unique metallic sound. These singing boulders are primarily composed of diabase, a volcanic rock that's a mixture of basalt and other deposits. Interestingly, there are no glacial traces found here, so it's unclear how this mountain of boulders ended up almost on top of the hill. Perhaps aliens brought them there. Share your speculations in the comments. We're all used to the idea that water flows from bottom to top, right? Sounds logical, but not for the inhabitants of the Faroe Islands. People living there can witness the so-called upside-down waterfall. This unusual phenomenon occurs shortly before a storm, when the sea is noticeably turbulent. It happens extremely rarely, but when it does, it's quite a sight. Spectators are always thrilled. The next extremely rare phenomenon is called a rotating ice disk. You can see these in rivers during the thaw period. These disks are perfectly smooth, slowly spinning circles of ice. These circles form due to vortex currents that arise in the river. A piece of ice caught in such a current starts to rotate. During the process, the edges of this piece smooth against the surrounding ice, and soon, a flat circle can form. It looks fantastic from the side. these natural wonders in Turkey look like they were created for a movie or something similar. I'm talking about geological formations that resemble enchanting pipes. Their uniqueness lies in the fact that they are the result of millennia of natural weathering. It all began millions of years ago when massive volcanoes erupted in this region, spreading ash far and wide. Now I'll tell you about the chocolate hills located in the Philippines. But don't rush to book tickets. They aren't made of chocolate. They got this name because of the grass that grows on them. During the season, the grass can change color, giving this place a completely unique and stylish character. Considering that there are over 1,700 of these hills, the spectacle is simply amazing. L'Anse Marinenses is a breathtaking park that captivates tourists with its indescribable beauty. It's located in northern Brazil, on the Atlantic Ocean coast. The entire area of this region is covered with enormous sand dunes that can reach up to 4 meters in height. The park's area is 1,500 square kilometers. Surprisingly, mangrove trees also grow in this park, providing shelter for many animal species including deer and rabbits. And this is one of the top attractions of Azerbaijan, known as the mud volcanoes. Yes, they might not impress visitors with their size, as most of them are just a few meters high mounds. And even in their normal state, mud volcanoes slowly bubble with mud. But sometimes when these volcanoes become active, real eruptions occur, with flames shooting up to 1,000 meters in height. This is all due to the fact that mud volcanoes are located in oil and gas fields. What the hell is going on here? Any reasonable viewer would ask when they see this bacchanalia. But don't rush to panic. Everything is actually fine. It's just the grunion fish that mainly inhabit the California territory and have a unique way of reproducing. Outwardly, this fish doesn't differ from most others. Scales, tail, fins, gills. However, when tides wash them ashore during the spawning season, the females start burying themselves in the sand head first. Only their head and pectoral fins remain visible above the surface. Nearby males guard them and release milt, which flows down the female's body straight into a clutch of 3,000 eggs. During the spawning period, the shores are simply covered with fish, gleaming like silver in the moonlight. From an observer's standpoint, it's truly fantastic. Now, I'd like to talk about flowers. Flowers are what people are accustomed to giving to others. Through them, we show signs of attention, respect, and love. But sometimes, when you give one bouquet, then another, and then a third, it can be challenging to choose something original. And precisely for you, I've found something truly astonishing. Introducing ice flowers. Scientists call them that. Crystals of water and salt that take on intricate forms resembling regular flowers, with a height of no more than 10 centimeters. This natural phenomenon occurs on the surface of a thin layer of fresh ice. These icy sculptures, at the boundary of air and water, only form in conditions of very dry air, with a temperature lower than that of the water. Well, now you know where to find the most unique gift. Every person, upon seeing a rainbow, looks up with wonder and joy like a child. But few know that a rainbow doesn't have an arched shape. It actually forms a circular shape. You can verify this by looking at it from the right angle. In general, there's not much to tell about it, so I simply suggest enjoying this beauty in silence. Today we've already talked about unusual clouds, but now I'd like to tell you something else. These are the so-called lenticular clouds. They form in calm weather conditions with no wind present at any altitude. Delving into the reason for their formation might not be very appealing, as there are many technical definitions and the like. So, Let's just enjoy this unique natural phenomenon once more and move on. When we hear about a saline body of water, the first thing that comes to mind for everyone is the Dead Sea. That very sea where you can step into the water and realize that drowning is simply impossible. Due to the water's density, you'll be pushed up to the surface. However, who could have thought that there is actually another place in the world, even saltier, making it the saltiest body of water? I'm talking about a lake called Don Juan. The salinity of this lake is over 40%, which is 34% higher than the concentration in the Dead Sea. The world is home to numerous volcanoes, but now I'd like to show you a video captured by tourists during their adventures in Guatemala. A group of friends was near Acatenango when they witnessed a true desert finger of God swaying across the expanses right in front of them. But then, something happened that clearly none of them expected. Mother Nature granted the tourists unforgettable footage of a volcano eruption. It looked unbelievably cool. Just imagine the slim chance of capturing both of these natural phenomena simultaneously. How do they do it? And most importantly, why? Probably everyone has heard about these strange stones in Death Valley. This is a natural national park in the state of California in the United States. The stones in this valley periodically move and literally crawl, leaving an impressive trail. The Mojave Indian tribe were the first to notice this amazing feature of the stones. They can move in groups and individually, synchronously, or differently. Sometimes they return and start moving in the opposite direction. People have long puzzled over the reason for this phenomenon, and as it turns out, it was much simpler. It's not about higher powers, but about ordinary water that forms during a certain time of the year. Then it freezes and creates a kind of ramp along which the stones slide. Oh well, I was starting to believe in aliens already. According to historians, a similar fissure really occurred in one of the cities in Africa long ago, and the photos you are seeing now are kind of a reconstruction, showing us what it would look like if it happened in the modern world. Agree, the site is definitely not for the faint-hearted, especially if you imagine the full scale of this catastrophe. How do you feel about parks? In my opinion, they are the best places to enjoy the beauty of nature. One of the best parks for this, in my humble opinion, is Palu's Park. The main attraction here is a waterfall. Its height is 61 meters, 8 meters higher than Niagara Falls. In the summer, a rainbow shines near the water stream, and in winter, Palu's freezes but doesn't lose its charm. But it's not the beauty that attracts tourists here. After 22-year-old American Tyler Bart flew off Palu's in his kayak in 2009, many athletes dream of repeating his record. Bart's flight lasted only 4 seconds, with a speed of 160 kilometers per hour. He remained almost uninjured, only his paddle broke. How do you feel about such extreme recreation? Would you dare to try something like that? And this is a much less interesting landmark, at least for most people. Nevertheless, its not-so-presentable appearance is well compensated by the essence of the object. The landscape consists of over 500 spires made of tuff. All these peaks vary in size and shape from short and squat to tall and slender, mainly consisting of calcium carbonate. Currently, they are isolated from the outside world and slowly deteriorate near the southern end of the valley. By the way, you might have seen this place in movies like Battlestar Galactica, Disney's Dinosaur, Planet of the Apes, and many others. Remember the various crop circles that people attribute to aliens? Well, now I'm going to show you something similar. These are also circles, and people also don't know where they came from. However, this new object looks a bit different. They are located in the vast desert and semi-desert area of Namibia. The landscape covered with low grass is interspersed with bare circular patches, which are bordered by a narrow strip of growing grass around their perimeter. Most of them have a diameter of about 2 meters, and the largest are up to 12 meters. How they could have appeared at all and what purpose these circles serve? Personally, I have no idea. What do you imagine when you hear about chocolate mountains? I think many people imagine mountains of their favorite treat, from which a delicious chocolate avalanche is flowing. In general, something from the universe of the movie Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But would you be greatly surprised if I told you that chocolate mountains are real? Although they are not exactly as I just described, they do exist. This wonder of the world is a unique natural formation that is listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. These mountains got their name due to the nature of the grass that grows on them. The grass dries up and changes its color to brown, which explains the name. Now I will show you an amazing natural complex or a true natural mystery. Call it what you want. If giants existed in the past, then this was undoubtedly their road or causeway. Before you is a place that consists of 40,000 interconnected stone columns. Do you believe that nature itself could create such a structure? Personally, I don't believe it very much. This causeway is located 3 kilometers from the city of Bushmills and looks like a stone ramp made of multi-level columns, which starts at the base of a cliff and gradually sinks into the sea. Driftwood Beach is just a few minutes' walk to the east of the large fishing pier on the northern part of Jekyll Island. It's more suited for aesthetic pleasure rather than swimming. The thing is, the part of the island where the beach is situated is slowly sinking, causing some trees to end up in the water. But these are not just trees. They are like time or sun-preserved gnarled branches that create a surreal landscape and a unique background for photos. Our planet, even though we live on it, surprises us every year. And each time you think, well, that's something. I couldn't have imagined that. Not to mention other planets like Saturn, for example. On it, scientists have found a hexagonal storm that was truly enigmatic in nature. But in any case, when viewed from the side, it's simply mesmerizing. By the way, an interesting fact about this phenomenon: the length of one side of the storm was about 13,800 kilometers. That's larger than the diameter of Earth. A complete rotation of the hexagon would take 10 hours, 39 minutes, and 24 seconds. Well, it's time to show you something that none of you have seen before. It's a mushroom called Chorioactus. It has a very small habitat range. It is only found in certain tiny areas of Japan and Texas. It's known that a split in its habitat occurred a whopping 19 million years ago, can you imagine? Upon maturation, the devil's cigar has a burning need to leave offspring behind. Therefore, it bursts open with a whistle, releasing spores outside of its body. Such a musical performance is worth the mushroom's unique appearance. From a neat cigar, it transforms into an equally charming star. The next location we're going to talk about is located in Russia. It's called the Dancing Forest, and I believe explaining what it looks like would be unnecessary. What's more interesting is that scientists still can't determine the reason behind the so-called dancing trees. There are many theories, from soil and climate peculiarities to mystical explanations. Going into detail about this would be long, not very engaging, and slightly dull. Let's head to the city of Taos, where there's something that's definitely worth seeing, or rather, worth hearing. For many decades now, people have been hearing sounds of unknown origin in this place. To grasp what they sound like, imagine the noise produced by heavy machinery moving along a highway. That's roughly what the local residents hear. However, there are no such highways or heavy machinery around the city that could be causing these sounds. Now, I'm delighted to introduce you to the Dragon Tree, also known as the Canarian Dragon Tree or Dracaena tree. Its native habitats include the Canary Islands, Morocco, and the Madeira Island. This tree is quite rare, and humans have played a role in its rarity due to collecting its valuable resin and uprooting young plants. As you might notice now, it's the resin of the dragon tree that's responsible for its name. Understandably, with its liquid resembling human blood, the tree was quickly incorporated into magical rituals and healing practices, following the principle of treating like with like. Even in our time, the resin of the dragon tree is used for medicinal purposes, not only in its native regions. So there you go, my friends. I believe we can wrap it up for today. These were places and natural phenomena that occur once in a million. If you enjoyed this episode and want to see something similar, please leave your comments, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the Top Facts channel, and right now, take a look at one of the previous episodes that has appeared on your screen.